What is the good word, everybody? It's Woodrow, and it's that time again. It's time to talk previews. So, we're going to get right into it. Up first, as always, the Marvel previews. Okay, up first this month is Black Panther versus Deadpool #1 of 5, written by Daniel Kibblesmith with art by Ricardo Lopez Ortiz. It's a pretty simple one, folks. You all know me, you know I love Deadpool, and you know I love Black Panther. So a miniseries pitting the two against each other is a no-brainer. And the added bonus, art by Ricardo Lopez Ortiz. If you don't know the name, don't feel bad. He's relatively new to the scene, but thanks to our EOC family member, Caleb Alexander McKenzie, he turned me on to Lopez Ortiz in Weapon X, and I liked it so much I bought a page from the run. So he's got a super cool cartoony style. I think it's going to look great, and I am stoked for this. This is on page 27 of the Marvel Previews, $3.99, so you know at DCB service that will cost you $1.99. The return of What If. Huge What If fan. For those of you that are new to Marvel Comics and are wondering what that is, What If is a series of usually almost always one-shot stories that take some component of the Marvel Universe and twist it. And there's been a couple very long runs over the years, and they're bringing it back with a bunch of titles this month. So just pick one up, whatever one floats your boat. There's one here, What If X-Men #1 with my girl Domino and Cable on the cover. There is a What If Magic issue with Lee Williams, who is getting some run this month. I've noticed seeing the name a lot here in the previews, and Felipe Andrade, who I love his art. And you can see on the right hand side a big page, What If Thor, and it's almost like a Twilight Zone for classic Marvel tales. It's usually a lot of fun, and I'm excited to have it back. All right, on page 98 of Marvel Previews is the Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, A Hero is Born omnibus. As you're looking here, this one is the Amanda Connor cover, and there is a John Romita Sr. cover, which is the original cover art to the Miss Marvel comic from the 70s. Big fan of Captain Marvel, of Carol Danvers, and I own all of these comics that are in this book from back in the day, but you know me and the Omniboo. Love to have them on the shelf. This is a big one. It's 720 pages, and it collects the entire original Miss Marvel run, 1 through 23, Marvel Team-Up 61, 62, 76, and 77, Defenders, the original run, number 57, Marvel 2-in-1, number 51, Avengers number 200, and Avengers Annual number 10, and then material from Avengers 197 through 199, Marvel Superheroes 10 through 11, and Marvel Fanfare number 24. So in essence, this is the definitive early Carol Danvers Marvel stuff. An easy purchase for you shelf porn lovers like me. And there it is. I know a lot of you have been waiting for this. You have heard me sing the praises of every single issue of this Domino run, starting about 4 months ago. Written by Gail Simone, pencils by David Baldeon. You know I love it. Hopefully you all have done me a solid and have been ordering the single issues, but I know some of you are stubborn and you insist on waiting for the trade. Well, here's your chance to step up to the plate. Domino Volume 1, out in November, $17.99 cover price, collects issues 1 through 6. It's an absolute must-have. If you don't know, now you know. All right, up next, we're going to dive into the DC previews. Up first from DC Vertigo, Hex Wives #1, written by Ben Blacker, and wait for it, art by Mirka Andolfo, who many of you hopefully are enjoying in her run on Unnatural, her creator-owned work at Image, with cover art by, wait for it, Joelle Jones. This is a story about a coven of witches that have done battle with an all-male group of ne'er-do-wells called the Architects for centuries. and this is the modern times as we see their battle ensuing. So they had me at Mirka Andolfo. There's nothing that she draws that isn't worth checking out, and Ben Blacker, is certainly someone that's very accomplished at writing humor. So I am curious to see how he does with something that doesn't look at all humorous. But worst case, you get some beautiful Mirka Andolfo art, which in and of itself makes it buying. Best case, Vertigo's got a new hit series on its hands. I'm honestly not over the fact that Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner have left the Harley Quinn book. It was without question my favorite comedy book in the superhero universe for the last bunch of years, and I will always cherish their run. So it warmed my heart to see them soliciting a trade of Harley's Little Black Book, which was a prestige format 6-issue series. It was a kind of an adjunct series to the main book where Harley teamed up. So it was like Brave and the Bold, only with Harley Quinn. And it was a ton of fun. She teamed up with Hal Jordan, with Wonder Woman, with Lobo, and I think with Zatanna, and I can't remember who the others were, but I remember loving the series. It's written by Amanda and Jimmy with art by the revolving cast of creators that were involved in the main series, including Timms and Amanda herself and Morissette and Joseph Linsner. So home run. All the issues are worth getting on their own if you're into bin diving, but if you need a little more Harley in your life and you're not sure about the new creative team, you can always re-up with this. It's on page 76, $24.99, 256 pages. I believe it'll set you back a whopping $12.50 through Discount Comic Book Service. We all knew it was coming, and it's here. Page 79, Mr. Miracle trade paperback. Written by Tom King, art by Mitch Gerrits. This will win just about every award that it's up for. It's going to win the Eisner next year for Best Limited Series. It's probably going to be nominated and maybe win for Best Series. This is another triumphant work by these two master creators. I must say I'm a bit surprised that they went with the trade paperback route. This to me is worthy of a beautiful oversized hardcover. So I hope we do get an absolute of this in short order. But I know many of you aren't into that, and you're into the trades, so this is right up your alley. If for some crazy reason you haven't been buying this in issues, you need to pick this up. It is fantastic. All right, and it's time to dive into the main previews catalog for the month. This is catalog number 359, cover date August 2018. Oh boy, look at this. Will you look at who has their very own Image series? One of our favorite creators, a person you hear us talk about all the time, creator of the fantastic web series Menage a Three, Miss Giselle Legasse. She is, of course, handling the art here with her partner, writer Ian Boothby. The book is Exorcisters #1, and I'll read you the solicit. Did you sign a deal with the devil? Has your fiancé been dragged to hell? Then Kate and Katie Harrow should be the first ones you call for timely soul retrieval at a reasonable rate. But why are these identical twins so different? Is there a darker secret? An all-new ongoing series by Eisner Award-winning writer Ian Boothby with art by Giselle Legasse. No-brainer. For those of you that perhaps haven't heeded our advice and checked out Giselle's work on the web, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, she's got a wonderful style. It's evocative of what you would see in the Archie comics with a bit of a more tight, sexy edge. She's a great cartoonist, and I know she's been very excited about this book. We've known about it for a minute now, but we can finally talk about it with y'all. So give it a try. It's on pages 50 and 51 of the main previews in the Image section. Exorcisters #1. This is a great month for Image. Another of our favorite creators is back at it, this time fresh off of his Eisner-nominated run on Extremity. Daniel Warren Johnson brings us Murder Falcon #1. You can find this on pages 56 and 57 of previews, written by Daniel, art by Daniel, along with cover assist by Mike Spicer. We were kind enough to be sent the first 2 issues of this by Daniel to check out well in advance of its release, and it's amazing, as you would expect it to be. It's essentially a mashup of a world where heavy metal is the almost magical impetus for imbuing power to beings that can fight against giant kaiju. In this case, our protagonist Jake can play a mean guitar, and that fuels the power of the Murder Falcon. It's over the top. It touches all of Daniel's personal loves, which are comics and crazy storytelling and out of their art and heavy metal music. And I thought the first 2 issues were absolutely a blast. So come along for the ride. It's going to be one of those buzz books for sure. So check it out, Murder Falcon #1. On page 65, in the Image Comics section, we've got a bunch of trades in this area, and I wanted to highlight Gideon Falls Volume 1, The Black Barn trade paperback, written by Jeff Lemire, art by Andrea Sorrentino, with colors by Dave Stewart. I spoke at length about this on this week's episode, so episode 557. I've been buying it in issues. It's amazing, as are most things that Jeff touches. But here's a chance to buy the trade if you didn't buy the issues. And as Images want to do, the first trade is only $9.99 cover price, which means you can get it for like $5. I'm telling you guys, you know I don't steer you wrong. $5 for these 6 issues is essentially like giving you a gift. So jump aboard. It's a fantastic, supernatural, occult-driven horror story, and it is amazing, and Sorrentino's been crushing it on the art. Gideon Falls, Volume 1. Keeping with the Image Comic trade paperback solicits, we have Maestro's Volume 1 trade paperback, written and drawn by Mr. Steve Scroce. You know that David, Vince, and I have all loved this series. Vince was the first to gush about it, but he was not alone. All 3 of us have come to appreciate it. It is astounding art. It's Doctor Strange on steroids with a bit of naughty humor mixed in. The first arc was terrific, and in this volume you're getting 7 issues, getting nearly 180 pages of this crazy, over-the-top, and wonderful story. So if you weren't buying the issues, here's your chance to jump on with the trade on page 66 of the main previews. $16.99 cover price. You know how that works. That means that you're going to pay $8.50. What the what? I never thought we'd see the day. They kept saying it was going to happen, but it had been long enough that I kind of gave up. So I was super stoked to be proven wrong here. As you can see on pages 100 and 101 is the solicit for the newest volume of the Umbrella Academy, Hotel Oblivion #1. The Umbrella Academy was an awesome series that was written by Gerard Way, who is better known to most people for being the lead singer of a very famous rock band, but we'll leave that for you to Google if you're curious and don't already know that. But he's also not too shabby of a comic writer. And let's be honest, when you have Gabriel Ba helping you draw your ideas and bring them to life, it's going to be hard for them not to be amazing. So really loved the original Umbrella Academy. In fact, you long-term listeners will know that this was one of Niesman's favorite series when he was on the show. So I'm sure he's stoked to have this back. But in any event, come along for the ride. This is technically the 3rd volume. We had the Apocalypse Suite and then Dallas in the original run. And I am totally stoked that we're getting more Umbrella Academy. Don't adjust your video screens. It's true. I am going to shout out a My Little Pony book, because this is stuff that I think you all should know about. It's not necessarily things that I'm going to buy and read, although that is usually the focus. But in this case, yes, I am not a My Little Pony reader, nor do I buy it for my kids. My 3 sons are not into the characters either. But you know what? A million people are, and a lot of you have young kids that love the cartoons, little girls that are looking for comics that are all ages friendly, and IDW has built a little bit of a powerhouse with the My Little Pony brand. And it's always my intent to shout out the book just because I know that our good friend and EOC family member Tony Fleece is one of the main artists on these books. And in this new series, My Little Pony Nightmare Nights #1, written by Jeremy Whitley with art by Tony, I know he's super stoked for it. And yeah, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention. It's on page 161 in the IDW section. And for those of you that have an interest in the Ponyverse, I think this is going to be a standout series in a long-running arc of series. So enjoy. On page 174 of the IDW section, in the subheader of Top Shelf Productions, is Supers Book 1, writer Frédéric Montpromé, art by Dawid, D-A-W-I-D. This is another French graphic novel that has been brought over and adapted for our consumption, and it is an all-ages youth book that won it was the first ever winner of the Youth Award at the French Association of Comics Critics. So it's about 3 children who are not from Earth. They are brought to Earth for some reason, and they have crazy powers, but they can't show off their powers because they're trying to integrate themselves into society. So I have really enjoyed the last few years jumping into these bande dessinée that are getting brought over from a variety of different publishers, and generally you can't go wrong because it's a high enough quality to stand out such that it's worth translating and bringing it to the larger U.S. market. So I'm on board for this. It's a bit of a leap of faith, but I'm very intrigued. And I know that Chris Staros at Top Shelf has impeccable taste. So when he's soliciting something like this, it just would stun me if it wasn't absolutely first class, top notch. So once again, it is Supers Book 1 on page 174. Yep, I'm zigging and zagging this month. I'm keeping you guys guessing because now I'm recommending a Dynamite book to you. But it's a Dynamite book that I have read prior incarnations and enjoyed quite a bit, and that is the Mars Attacks series. So it's been off the shelves for a few years now, and they're bringing it back this time with the amazing collaborative team of Kyle Starks and Chris Schweitzer, who have done a ton of stuff together, and they have great kismet. Schweitzer's art is super cartoony and some would say simplistic, but I love his line. And to me, he's a modern disciple of, say, Sergio Aragonés. And I think that kind of art style and storytelling will work really well in what is an over-the-top, pulpy, crazy alien adventure series. So Dynamite, Mars Attacks #1 on page 184. Page 274 in the back of previews, under the Albatross Funny Books imprint, is Galacticon Volume 1 trade paperback. The reason I wanted to bring this to your attention is because you'll notice who is the artist. Mr. Steve Mannion. Been a big fan of Steve's for a long time, and we always get to see him in his home neck of the woods at Heroes Con. Amazing artist, proud to own a bunch of art from him. He draws beautiful, cheesecakey, pulpy female leads, and this is a sci-fi intergalactic space adventure that he did with writing partner Brendan Small. So I've actually been collecting the issues, although I must admit I haven't read past the first issue, which I thought was terrific. So it's nice to see it all wrapped up in a trade, and you can get it here in previews, or if you're so inclined, you can probably buy it from Steve the next time you see him at a con. Either way, his art alone makes it worthwhile, but the story's pretty dope too. So give it a whirl. Galacticon Volume 1. Yes, look at that. It's beautiful. Infinity 8, Volume 2, Back to the Fuhrer. A few weeks back, we gushed about Volume 1, which was the the first of what Lion Forge is calling their magnetic collection, which is in essence the imprint they're using for importing works from other countries and translating them. So this is a science fiction story involving the ability to roll back time in multi-hour increments. But in order to do that, they send agents out to investigate potential situations to decide if in fact it's something they need to do, because I believe the captain of the spaceship can only do the time travel thing 8 times. So it's like a 9 lives cat type of situation. Each volume revolves around a different agent in a different type of adventure. And in volume 2, we are introduced to the impulsive Stella Moonkicker and Bobby, her boring probation robot. These are funny stories, they're sexy stories, they're impeccably drawn stories. The first volume was a grand slam. I cannot wait to read this second volume. It's on page 365 in the Lion Forge section. Enjoy. So there you have it. Another month is in the books, and this was a whopping monthly order for me this time around. These things are cyclical, but it happens. As always, remember, these videos only show you a handful of things that we want to call your attention to. For me, I generally stick to number 1 issues or the starts of new arcs or collected volumes of stuff that I already know you should be reading. But as you probably do know, I end up buying and reading a ton more that never makes it into these videos. The good news is, because you're awesome and amazing patrons, I will post my complete DCBS order on the Patreon site for you to check out. And by all means, we've had some feedback on those posts, but I would love for them to serve as a jumping off point for you all to post what you're digging, what you want to call our attention to, what you're buying, because listen, we all like to be talked into buying extra stuff. That's what makes us voracious collectors in the first place. So hope you all have a great rest of your month. You know where to find me. I will be on the Twitters, on the Facebooks, on the Slacks, and on the Patreons. So much love to you all, and I will speak to you in a few days when we release our next ep. Take care.